Today we have quite a somber topic, and it's something that should be treated with respect because it affects a lot of people in very nefarious ways. So let's get into it, I guess. And we were talking about Allison Mack recently being released from jail for sex trafficking. I'm just going to say it. There are some harsh truths that are going to come out into this video, and it's something that is extremely important, and women need to be protected as well as kids. So we're going to have to talk about it. I'm going to try not to make any jokes, but what I have to do is go through the actual details of this, what has come out recently, the allegations made, and how that other person defends themselves. So we'll do that in just a second. If you guys like anything that you see here on this channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and we can hang out more. And you know that I'm not just a one-trick pony. I don't just sit on here and bitch about shit all day. You actually have to think for yourself and think about other people. So let's start with the most recent news, which came out a day ago. Allison Mack explains how Kristin Kreuk steered her into NXIVM sex cult. She was super excited about it. All right, so that's the headline. Now, if you don't know who Allison Mack and Kristin Kreuk are, if you ever watched the show Smallville, that was Lana Lang. Kristin Kreuk was Lana Lang. And I think all of us growing up that watched Smallville, with Tom Welling playing Superman and Michael Rosenbaum playing Lex Luthor, a young version. They were all in high school at the time, or they were playing people in high school at the time. That was a great show for a while. I think it went a little bit too long, but that's neither here nor there. The former Smallville star talked to CBC Allison after NXIVM. I'm going to have to come up with some other way of saying that name because I'm just going to trip over my words the more that I have to bring it up because it's a lot in this article. And it is a huge topic to discuss. Allison, after that podcast, in her first interview since leaving federal prison after she pled guilty to her role in the Keith Raniere-led enterprise. Yes, that guy is serving like, is it 32 life sentences or something like that? He's serving a whole lot of time. That dude is not getting out. I think it's without parole as well. Well justified, in my opinion. But anywho, yes, she is a little bit worse for the wear. She was so bubbly in the first few seasons of that show. Kristin Kreuk basically hasn't changed at all. This was who played Lana Lang. And I think growing up, we all kind of had crushes on her. At least I did. I know that for sure. Former Smallville actress Allison Mack claims fellow series star Kristin Kreuk introduced her to a life coaching course in Vancouver that was later revealed to be this sex cult in a podcast that dropped on Monday. Now, is this true? Kristin Kreuk is not denying it, but she is saying that on the surface, it was something different, and she never fell into the other thing. Allison, however, did. Now, a lot of times when it comes to these cults, and I'm just speaking off the cuff, so like maybe this article can shed some more light on what I'm about to say. But a lot of times when it comes to these cults, they find the people who are most vulnerable and are most malleable, so to say, that they can bend to their will. Kristin Kreuk didn't seem to be that kind of person. She was more like seeing it as a self-help plan. And then Allison, I guess, took the other turn. We don't know what's going on in her mind at these times. We don't know what's going on with her in her personal life. So she apparently got targeted by Keith Raniere, and Kristin Kreuk didn't. That's what it seems like from everything, just on a surface level. Let's go a little bit further into it. We both were at the point where we were 25 years old. We were in New York City together. It was our big break. And we had rented an apartment in the same building in the West Village. We were both, why do we feel so unsatisfied? Young bloods, your first time in Hollywood, and you immediately get latched on to an extremely popular show. So now you have this fame out of nowhere that you never expected to have. And when it's thrust upon you, when fame is thrust upon you, a lot of people don't know how to handle it. And I agree with that. Mack recalled on the CBC Allison after NXIVM podcast. The 7-episode podcast serves as Mack's first interview since she was released from prison from serving time for her role in the group. Her role will come up later. She added that Kristin told her about a self-help course in Vancouver that was looking for new members. It's the Science of Joy. So that's the problem with these things. They can appear on the outside as basically anything to get like the dejected and the disheartened. Oh, come in. We're a family over here. And then if you choose to prove yourself that you are loyal to that, then you get behind the scenes and ends up becoming like a secret society of sorts. It's a size of joy. It's the most amazing thing. It's made everything so much better in life. You got to do this. Mack recalled Kreuk telling her after she'd taken an earlier course. Well, here's the thing, though. They never tell you straight up. It's a slippery slope, and it's a slow burn. Much like the changing of culture, you start with a little bit, you take an inch, you take another inch, you take another inch, and by the time you actually realize what it is, if you're not bought in hook, line, and sinker, then you have already taken a mile. We see this in culture all the time, not only pop culture, but just standard political culture, and then just standard the way you treat people and the way that you see people in everyday life. It starts little by little by little, and you wheedle away and you nibble away. That's what they do. They're smart about it because it is calculated, and it is not cool in any way, whatsoever. But they approach it as cool, calm, and calculated. So you look up to these people, and you end up trusting the things that they say because they have a way with words. Yes, that is the devil's tongue in your ear, but they have a way with words to make you believe, especially when you're in a dejected and extremely unsure state, that, oh, this person knows more than me. This person can actually help me. She was just like super excited about it, She had a coach. She was talking about a vanguard and a prefect. These are already sound like Scientology kind of thing. Not saying Scientology is a sex cult. Not saying that at all. I have no clue. But whenever you have these kind of words, a vanguard and a prefect, this should put alarm bells in your head. At least it would for me. Which were the names you called Keith and Nancy at the time. Co-founder Nancy Salzman with Keith Raniere. That is actually crazy. But I do not doubt this to be true because she has been in federal prison, and Keith Raniere is in federal prison and will not be getting out anytime soon, at least not before he dies. At Kreuk's apparent urging, Mack took an initial course in Vancouver led by Salzman, which is the woman. We were learning about what's the purpose of mankind. We were learning about how does that relate to gender differences and relationships. Now we can pick this apart a little bit if you want to. Hey, we're here for it. We were learning about what's the purpose of mankind. Is that not to be gentle and kind to other people, to love thy neighbor? Now, I don't know what kind of stuff goes on in these secret societies and these cults. Like, how do they? I would love to know more about how they phrase it to people who are just at their wits' end, have absolutely no self-confidence, and are looking for something like, how can I be stronger in my resolve as a human being? This is some devilish, demonic, and absolutely abhorrent shit. We're learning about how does that relate to gender differences in relationships. Okay, so gender differences in relationships. Yes, I can actually get behind that. And maybe that's where it is. Maybe they framed it as a slightly Christian kind of thing. Gender differences in relationships, because genders are different. Man and woman have specific roles that the other can't fill. Men can't do some things that women do. Women can't do some things that men do, without even thinking, just at the drop of a hat. It's like, oh yeah, I got this for you. There are differences to the gender. So maybe that's how they framed it. And it seems kind of like the way, if she is of sound mind, it seems like that's the way that she's framing it. But the first episode of the Canadian podcast has a former Smallville star explaining the events that led to a federal prison sentence for involvement in the recruitment of women where they were trafficked and abused by the now imprisoned Raniere. Now, there are, I don't have the article pulled up, but there are articles, and it was huge news whenever she got arrested because of a sex cult which she was basically getting passed around. And if you'll ever watch the show Smallville, she was this cute little bubbly one. Like, she was a little precocious scamp that was Clark's best friend. We all liked her. So I don't really get where that comes from, but hey, you never know what's on the screen versus what's going on in their personal lives. You have to make allowances for that, or you should make allowances for that, and realize that a lot of these people are screwed up. And especially when they get in there young and unready, unprepared for fame, they are easily bought and sold. In this case, that is not even a pun. It happened literally. She was initially arrested in April 2018 after federal authorities in March 2018 raided the headquarters near Albany, New York. And in a letter filed to the court, she addressed those who have been harmed by my actions, stating that she threw herself into the teachings of Rainier with everything I had. Yeah, so she just completely took the bait. And it's so sad. She's been in there for 3 years, but she is now out after pleading guilty to her involvement in the recruitment of women. And here's the thing, and this is what I have to pull up next. Kristin Kreuk was in there thinking it was a self-help program and never went behind the curtain, so to speak. Never went behind the veil and knew about other things. As soon as she found out about anything, she got the hell out. She got married. She had kids, and she is just living her little life the way that she desires. And I completely understand. When you first join a cult, you don't know all the things behind the scenes. You absolutely don't, because they're here to lure you in, to gain your trust, and then if they trust you enough, then they will allow you to know what's happening behind the scenes. Kristin Kreuk never got to that point. She just took the self-help class. Hopefully there wasn't hypnotization going on, because a lot of those places do it. Like, let's try to keep it a little bit lighter and think of the movie Yes Man. Basically hypnotized where he can't say no. A lot of these things actually happen in real life. Hypnotism is a real thing. Now, I'm not going off down this tangent too much, but I'm just saying it is within the realm of possibility. Now, the next thing we'll go to, because I truly believe that Allison Mack is not trying to throw Kristin under the bus. I think she's just stating facts. Like, the reason why I was introduced to this is because of Kristin. Whether or not she knew, we don't know. But I am complicit, and she bled guilty to it. So she does recognize that. At least she is taking a little bit of the blame. She should take most of the blame. And this comes from 2018, whenever Allison Mack was incarcerated, shall we say. Smallville actress Kristin Kreuk denies recruiting sex slaves for that cult. Now, here's the thing, and I believe her because I've seen her in multiple podcasts. She's talked with Michael Rosenthal on his podcast and Tom Welling. They've kept in touch. They are still great friends, and they are they're very buddy today, to this day. And she seems extremely sweet. Let's let her speak for herself. Kristin Kreuk dealt with a lot of strange goings-on while starring on Smallville, but nothing quite like this days after the arrest of Rainier, the founder of that cult. She's denied allegations she was involved in the recruiting of sex slaves for that organization. And Rainier, who was apprehended in Mexico because he was trying to skirt the borders, has been accused of branding women and treating them as his property. Okay, I know this is extremely tough, and I know this video is going to be extremely long, but let's just go into Kristin's official statement. Now, she is not at odds with Allison Mack. She is not fighting them. They were both young at the time whenever they were introduced to this. They were both, small fish in a big city, thrust into the limelight, and that makes them malleable. That makes them a little bit timid. And how am I supposed to purport myself whenever it comes to all of this, the paparazzi that's now around, the cameras that are constantly on us? I don't really have any friends. We just moved here. We just got shipped in, basically, so that we could do this and hopefully start a career. She says, when I was about 23, I took an executive success program in XIVM intensive. I really wish I knew what that meant. Everyone just used the acronym, but I haven't really seen what it actually means. Intensive. What I understood to be a self-help personal growth course that helped me handle my previous shyness, which is why I continued with the program. Wonder how much it cost. I left about 5 years ago, which would be 2013. She left and had minimal contact with those who were still involved. The accusations that I was in the inner circle or recruited women as slaves is blatantly false. During my time, I never experienced any illegal or nefarious activity. I am horrified and disgusted by what has come out about DOS. Who's DOS? I have no clue. Thank you to all the brave women who have come forward to share their stories and expose DOS. I can't imagine how difficult this has been for you. I am deeply discouraged and embarrassed to have been associated with that organization, shall we say. I hope that the investigation leads to justice for all of those affected. let me put something in perspective for you. There's a lot of times, well, let's just bring up Jeffrey Epstein. Why not? A successful business person, a lot of people didn't know what was going on Epstein Island. They were just like, hey, you're an investor, you make money, I make money, we could go into business together. Never knew anything about Epstein Island. Now, I can't necessarily quantify all of that right now because the Epstein list, let's be honest, is never going to come out. But there are tons of people, plasticine on the surface, absolutely wretched and rotting underneath. But that veneer, that visage, that porcelain doll mask is still over their face. And, you know, business as usual, business on the outside. I don't know if you can see my hand. Business on the outside, everything is great, but it stops right there. Once they take the mask off, their shady dealings, the backroom cigar smoke filled rooms that happen in the back rooms. Now, that's something completely different. They have to appear as if they're legitimate in order to gain your trust. And then once they gain your trust enough, then they might let you in to their private dealings, their black market shit, all the other stuff that they're doing. So I completely believe Kristin Kreuk. She has been, to my knowledge, she has been nothing but forthcoming with everything regarding this. So I have no reason to believe that she is lying in any way. And a lot of people fall victim to this stuff. Some people fall for the scam. Some people don't. Some people get out as soon as things start feeling a little fishy. It's like, no, I have enough confidence to know that you're full of shit and I don't need you anymore. Thankfully, Kristin Kreuk got out. Sadly, Allison Mack, I guess, was just a little bit too outcast, or felt she was a little bit too outcast. And she ended up doing some horrific things, of which she has paid her price for it. And it feels like she's extremely reticent of it. And I just wish her the best. I wish everybody the best. But with the articles coming out recently, since she's been released from prison and is now doing podcasts and like talking about her time and like everything that goes involved, I don't want people to think that she's trying to throw Kristin Kreuk under the bus, because I truly don't believe she's doing that. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding, and I think she's trying to tell the facts as she knew them at the time and as she has thought and pontificated on it in her time in federal prison. That's where I stand with this. Obviously, protect the women, protect the kids. That's where I stand with it. That's all I have to say about this at this time of filming. If we want to have a conversation, we could do it maybe, well, I'm off for the next 2 Sundays, but we can have this discussion down in the comment section below. If you want to, we can have it on other people's streams. We could do a specific stream about it, just to have this conversation so different points of view can be heard, because I want to hear y'all's point of view on everything that I just presented. Greatly appreciate it. This is Multi from Mouth to Multi. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and take care of yourselves. Bye.